Good morning everyone. Now we discuss circulatory pathways. Circulatory pathways, number of chambers in the heart in different vertebrates, structure of heart. So circulatory pathways, two types of circulatory pathways, open circulatory system, open blood vascular system. And closed blood vascular system. Closed blood vascular system. Open blood vascular system means blood flows in empty places in the body. Empty places are known as sinuses. If blood flows in empty places of the body known as open blood vascular system, open blood vascular system fail to supply nutrients effectively to each and every part of the body. So open spaces known as sinuses filled with blood. This type of circulatory system seen in members of arthropoda, mollusca, echinodermata, hemichordata. So in the textbook given arthropoda, mollusca, you go through animal kingdom classification, mentioned hemichordata also. So in the members of phylum arthropoda, mollusca, echinodermata, hemichordata, open blood vascular system is present. Closed blood vascular system, if blood flows in blood vessels only, known as closed blood vascular system. Closed blood vascular system is more effective when compared to open blood vascular system. Closed blood vascular system effectively transport nutrients to each and every part of the body. Closed blood vascular system seen in annelida and chordata. Annelida and chordata. Closed blood vascular system seen in annelida and chordata. In annelida also, leeches have open blood vascular system. Except leeches, all annelidans have closed blood vascular system. So, closed blood vascular system means if blood flows in the blood vessels only, known as closed blood vascular system. It is more effective when compared to open blood vascular system. Now we discuss heart in various vertebrate groups. Heart in various vertebrate groups. So heart in different vertebrate groups. Different vertebrate groups. In Pisces, heart is S-shape. In Pisces, heart is S-shape. Atrium and one ventricle. Atrium is the receiving chamber, ventricle is the distributing chamber. So, two-chambered heart present in members of class Pisces. Fishes included in class Pisces. Blood enter into heart only once before it is circulated to gills. That's why it is known as single circulation. If blood enter into heart only once before it is circulated to organs, known as single circulation. Heart of Pisces only contain deoxygenated blood. That's why heart of Pisces known as venous heart. Heart of Pisces supply blood to gills only. So that's why heart of fishes known as branchial heart. Branchial heart. Branchial means gill. So what are the unique character? Heart of fish is S-shaped, contain one atrium and one ventricle. The heart contain only deoxygenated blood. That's why heart of fish is known as venous heart. The heart always supply blood to gills. That's why heart is known as branchial heart. Branchial means gill. Blood enter into heart only once before it is circulated to gills. That's why it is known as single circulation. Next one is amphibia. In amphibia, three-chambered heart. Right atrium, left atrium and ventricle. Right atrium. Actually, it is the left side of the board. Why we mentioned it as right atrium? Reason is we dissect the vertebrates on the ventral surface. So my right hand towards the left side. So that's why my right atrium also towards the left side of the board. In case of invertebrates, we dissect the invertebrates on the dorsal surface. So in heart is in the form of three chambers. Right atrium, left atrium and ventricle. So right atrium receive deoxygenated blood, left atrium receive oxygenated blood. When the atria undergo contraction, blood enter into ventricle. In the ventricle, mixed blood is formed in the ventricle. Mixed blood. The additional chamber, for example, it is the heart. The additional chamber present below the heart is known as conus arteriosus. Conus arteriosus divided into two branches known as aortic trunks. Each aortic trunk divides into three arteries. Pulmocutaneous arches. A pair of carotid arches, a pair of pulmocutaneous arches. So when the ventricle contract, the mixed blood enter into conus arteriosus. From the conus arteriosus, through three pairs of arches, the blood circulated to all parts of the body. So 33% blood enter into a pair of carotid arches, 33% blood enter into a pair of systemic arches, 33% blood enter into a pair of pulmocutaneous arches. Again pulmocutaneous arch divided into two arteries, cutaneous and pulmonary. 16 enter into a pair of pulmonary arteries. So from the into cutaneous pulmonary. In another pulmocutaneous also divided into pulmonary and cutaneous. The two pulmonary arteries supply 16.5% blood into left side of the heart. So only 0.5 16.5% of blood second time enter into heart. That's why it is known as incomplete double circulation. What is double circulation? If blood enter into heart twice before it is circulated to various parts of the body, is known as double circulation. In amphibia, only 16.5% of blood second time enter into heart. That's why it is known as incomplete double circulation. Incomplete double circulation. Heart is in the form of three chambers: right atrium, left atrium and ventricle. On the ventral surface of heart, conus arteriosus is present. It divides into two aortic trunks, two branches known as aortic trunk. Each three branches: anterior carotid, middle systemic, posterior pulmocutaneous. Pulmocutaneous divides into two arteries, cutaneous artery and pulmonary artery. 33 arches. Pulmocutaneous arches, 16.5% blood enter into a pair of pulmonary arteries. The blood enter into pulmonary arteries only second time enter into heart. So only 16.5% of blood second time enter into heart. That's why it is known as incomplete double circulation. In amphibia and reptiles, mixed blood only circulated to various parts of the body. Next one, reptiles. In reptiles also three-chambered heart. Ventricle is incompletely divided into two chambers. Additional chamber absent on the ventral surface of heart. In amphibia, additional chamber present on the ventral surface of the heart is conus arteriosus. Additional chamber is absent. Due to absence of additional chamber, three arches directly arises from the ventricle. So right atrium contain deoxygenated blood, left atrium contain oxygenated blood. When the atria undergo contraction, deoxygenated and oxygenated blood enter into ventricle. The deoxygenated and oxygenated blood mixes, so ventricle contain mixed blood. When the ventricle undergo contraction, the mixed blood enter into three arches. Three arches directly arise from the ventricle. One is pulmonary arch, and next one is right systemic arch and left systemic arch. 33% blood enter into each arch. The 33% blood enter into pulmonary arch circulated to lungs. From the pulmonary arch, two pulmonary arteries arises, right pulmonary and left pulmonary. The two pulmonary arteries supply deoxygenated blood to lungs. In lungs it becomes oxygenated. The 33% oxygenated blood enter into the left atrium. So in amphibia only 16.5% blood second time enter into heart. In reptiles 33% blood second time enter into heart. That's why in reptiles also circulation is known as incomplete double circulation, except crocodilia. In crocodilia, four-chambered heart. Ventricle is completely divided into two chambers, two atria, two ventricle. From the right ventricle, pulmonary arch arises. From the left ventricle, left systemic and right systemic and left systemic arises from the left ventricle only. In right chambers, deoxygenated blood, left chambers, oxygenated blood. So when the atria undergo contraction, from the right atrium, deoxygenated blood enter into right ventricle. From the left atrium, oxygenated blood enter into left ventricle. When the ventricles undergo contraction, from the right ventricle, deoxygenated blood circulated to pulmonary arch. From the pulmonary arch to lungs. When the ventricles undergo contraction, from the left ventricle, oxygenated blood enter into right and left systemic arches. They supply oxygenated blood to each and every part of the body. If four-chambered heart is present, circulation is always double. One time blood enter into right chambers as deoxygenated blood. Second time blood enter into left chambers of heart as oxygenated. So what is double circulation? If blood enter into heart twice before it is circulated to various parts of the body, is known as double circulation. One time blood enter into heart in the right chambers as deoxygenated blood. So from the right chambers of the heart, the deoxygenated blood circulated to lungs. In lungs, it become oxygenated. From the lungs, the blood second time enter into heart in the left chambers of the heart as oxygenated blood vessel. So that's why it is known as double circulation. Next one, aorta. Aorta also four-chambered heart. Two arches arises from the ventricle. One is pulmonary arch, right systemic arch. Pulmonary arch supply deoxygenated blood to lungs. Right systemic arch supply oxygenated blood to various organs. In case of mammal, four-chambered heart, two atria, two ventricle. From the right ventricle, pulmonary arch arise. From the left ventricle, left systemic arch arise. What is the difference between the right systemic arch of aorta and left systemic arch? In aorta, the systemic arch arises from the ventricle, travel to right side. That's why it got the name right systemic arch. In mammals, the systemic arch arises from the left ventricle, travel to left side. That's why it got the name left systemic arch. So in mammal, two arches are present, pulmonary arch and left systemic arch. In aorta also two arches are present, pulmonary arch and right systemic arch. In reptiles, three arches are present, pulmonary and two systemic arches. In amphibia, six arches are present, a pair of carotid arch, a pair of systemic arch, a pair of pulmocutaneous arches. So number of arches in amphibia, number of arches in reptilia, 3 arches. Number of arches in aves and mammals, 2. So this is about chambers of heart. In Pisces, heart is S-shaped, contain 2 chambers, atrium and ventricle. In amphibia, 3 chambered, right atrium, left atrium, ventricle. Right atrium bigger than left atrium. Mixed blood present in the ventricle. This mixed blood only circulated to all parts of the body. In amphibia, only 16.5% blood second time enter into heart. That's why it is known as incomplete double circulation. In reptiles, 3-chambered heart, right atrium, left atrium and ventricle. Ventricle is incompletely divided. Incompletely, not completely into 2 chambers. That's why you may say 3-chambered heart or incompletely divided 4-chambered heart. From the ventricles, 3 arches arises, pulmonary arch, right systemic and left systemic arch. Right atrium contain deoxygenated blood, left atrium contain oxygenated blood. When the atria undergo contraction, deoxygenated and oxygenated blood enter into the ventricle. In the ventricle, deoxygenated and oxygenated blood mixes. Mixed blood is formed. This mixed blood only circulated to various parts of the body. Pulmonary arch supply blood to lungs. Right systemic and left systemic arch supply blood to various organs. So 33% of blood only second time enter. The blood enter into pulmonary arch only second time return. So 33% blood enter into pulmonary arch, 33% right systemic, 33% left systemic arch. In crocodilia, 4-chambered heart. 4-chambered heart present in 3 groups. Crocodilia, mammals, aves. So if 4-chambered heart is present, double circulation. Double circulation means blood enter into heart twice before it is circulated to various parts of the body. So crocodilia, aves and mammals, double circulation. Reptiles, all reptiles except crocodiles and amphibia, incomplete double circulation. In Pisces, single circulation. Blood enter into heart only once before it is circulated to various parts of the body. In Pisces. Now we discuss the external structure of heart of human being. external structure of heart of human being. External structure of heart of human. Heart is present in the empty place present between the lungs. Empty place is present between the lungs. Heart is present in the empty place of lungs. The empty place present between the lungs is known as mediastinum. Empty place present between the lungs is known as mediastinum. Heart of human is a tightly or closed fist. So tightly held fist, closed fist. The size of your heart is your closely fitted fist. Closely fitted fist. So tightly held fist, closely or tightly held fist. So heart is present in the mediastinum, four-chambered heart, two atria, two ventricles. Two atria, two ventricles. Atria and ventricles externally separated by a membrane known as coronary sulcus. Two ventricles are externally separated by a membrane known as interventricular groove. Inter means between. Anterior part of atrium contain earlobe-like structure known as auricular appendix. Auricular appendix increase the area of atria. Coronary artery and its branches lodged in the interventricular groove. Coronary artery. Coronary artery supply blood to wall of heart. Coronary artery supply oxygenated blood to wall of heart. So external structure of human heart. External structure of human heart. External structure of human heart. So once again, four-chambered. Our heart is like a tightly held fist. Tightly held fist. present in the mediastinum. What is mediastinum? Empty place present between the two lungs is known as mediastinum. Four chambered, two atria and two ventricles. The atria and ventricles separated by a membrane externally, coronary sulcus. Two ventricles externally separated by a membrane, interventricular groove. Coronary artery and its branches present in the interventricular groove. Anterior part of atria contain earlobe-like structures known as auricular appendix. Auricular appendix increase the area of atria. So now we discuss internal structure of heart of human. Internal structure of heart. Internal structure of human heart. So internal structure of human heart. Upper chambers are atria, right atrium and left atrium, internally separated by a member. Atrial, interatrial septum. The two atria internally separated by a membrane, interatrial septum. Before opening present in the interatrial septum is known as foramen ovalis. Interatrial septum is known as foramen ovalis. The opening present in the interatrial septum is known as foramen ovalis. So after birth, you already know heart is present between the lungs. After birth, the lungs are fully functional. The lungs press the atria. Atria press the interatrial septum. At the time, the foramen ovalis converted into a thick flap, thick membrane known as fossa ovalis. But in some infant, the foramen ovalis not completely converted into a thick circular patch. So part of the foramen ovalis remain as a opening. So we generally, sometimes you may heard some infant born with hole in the heart. That is nothing but foramen ovalis is not completely closed. If foramen ovalis not completely converted into fossa ovalis, this condition is known as patent foramen ovalis. Patent foramen ovalis. Condition is known as patent foramen ovalis. Now the surgeon by surgery rectify the defect. Otherwise, the infant, newly born infant, exhibit stunted growth, no growth, die within 1 or 1.5 years. Two atria internally separated a membrane, interatrial septum. The opening present in the interatrial septum is known as foramen ovalis. After birth, lungs are fully functional. Lungs press the atria. At the time, foramen ovalis converted into a thick circular membrane. This thick circular membrane is known as fossa ovalis. But in some infant, foramen ovalis not completely converted into fossa ovalis. We heard some children born with a hole in the heart. That hole is nothing but foramen ovalis is not completely closed. This condition is known as patent foramen ovalis. The surgeon, heart surgeon, rectify the defect by simple surgery. Next one. Right atrium contain 3 openings. Opening of superior vena cava, opening inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava collect blood from inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava collect blood from head, thorax, hands or upper limbs and pour the blood into right atrium through an aperture. So it is the opening of superior vena cava. Similarly, inferior vena cava collect blood from legs, abdomen and pour the deoxygenated blood into right atrium. Opening of inferior vena cava, valve, Eustachian valve. Eustachian valve. Next one is opening of coronary sinus. Opening of coronary sinus. 4 coronary veins collect deoxygenated blood from wall of the heart. and they pour this deoxygenated blood into a cavity present in the wall of heart. That cavity is known as coronary sinus. The coronary sinus opens into right atrium through an aperture. This aperture is guarded by a valve known as Sebaceous valve. Sebaceous valve. So valve prevent the backward flow of blood. Sebaceous valve allow the flow of blood from coronary sinus into right atrium, prevent the backward flow from right atrium into coronary sinus. Once again, right atrium contains three openings. Opening of superior vein cava, opening of inferior vein cava, coronary sinus, opening of coronary sinus. Superior vein cava collect blood from head, thorax, hands and pour the deoxygenated blood into right atrium. Inferior vein cava collect blood from legs, abdomen, pour the blood into right atrium. Next one is coronary sinus. What is coronary sinus? 4 coronary veins collect blood from wall of heart. Pour the blood into concavity, means cavity present in the wall of heart. That concavity is known as coronary sinus. Coronary sinus pour the blood into right atrium through an aperture. This aperture is guarded by sebaceous valve. Left atrium contains 4 openings. They are known as openings of pulmonary vein. From the right lung, 2 pulmonary veins arise. From the left lung, 2 pulmonary veins. 4 pulmonary veins pour the oxygenated blood into left atrium through separate apertures. So right atrium contains 3 openings, left atrium contains 4 openings. So tomorrow I continue the internal structure of human heart.